Imagine opening your banking app and staring at a number that feels almost insulting. At the same time, some financial influencer online is confidently telling you that once you hit $10,000, the next $10,000 comes way faster. And you're sitting there thinking, yeah, right. Tell that to my credit card statement. But here's the part that might surprise you. That person isn't lying. In fact, they're not even telling you the full story. Because the reality is, it doesn't just get a little easier, it gets dramatically easier. The reason your first $1,000 feels impossibly hard compared to the next $10,000 isn't motivational fluff. It's rooted in real psychology and real math forces most people never truly understand. And that lack of understanding is exactly why so many people stay broke for their entire lives. My name is Neek, and I spend an unhealthy amount of time thinking about why some people seem to build wealth almost effortlessly, while others work nonstop and still have nothing to show for it. If you're exhausted from feeling like you're stuck on a financial treadmill running hard but going nowhere, make sure you subscribe. Because we're about to break down the mental battle your brain fights every single time you try to save money. Before we get into the cold, uncomfortable math, let me ask you something. When you imagine wealthy people, what comes to mind? Maybe someone who never struggled financially. Someone who just gets money. Someone who was born with a financial advantage you never had. Here's the truth, and it might sting a little. The difference between people who build wealth and people who don't has almost nothing to do with income. It has everything to do with understanding the invisible psychological forces working against them. Your brain is actively working to sabotage your financial success, and that's not an exaggeration. Neuroscientists have studied this extensively. There's a concept called temporal discounting, which simply means your brain values immediate rewards far more than future ones. Spending $50 on dinner tonight feels exciting and rewarding. Saving that same $50 for some vague future version of yourself feels boring and meaningless. Your brain just doesn't care about future benefits the same way it cares about instant gratification. But here's where it gets interesting. The exact same psychological process that makes saving your first $1,000 feel impossible is the same process that makes saving the next $10,000 feel almost automatic once you understand how to work with it instead of fighting it. We're going to break down the mental barriers holding you back and show you how to turn your brain from your biggest financial obstacle into your most powerful wealth-building tool. The first obstacle is something psychologists call the house money effect. Your brain treats money differently based on where it came from. Money you earn from your job feels serious, heavy, hard to part with. But money you find, like a tax refund, cash from an old jacket, or that $20 a relative gives you feels like bonus money, play money. And because of that, you're far more likely to waste it. This is one of the main reasons people with decent incomes never build wealth. They mentally label their money in ways that sabotage themselves. Every dollar should be treated the same, but your brain keeps running these internal accounting tricks that quietly keep you broke. Then there are money scripts buried deep in your subconscious. These are beliefs about money that were programmed into you as a child, and they're controlling your financial decisions whether you realize it or not. Maybe you grew up hearing your parents fight about money, so your brain associates having money with stress and conflict. Maybe you constantly heard, "We can't afford that," so now you subconsciously believe you're not the kind of person who gets to have financial security. Or maybe money was never discussed at all. Creating shame around, even wanting more, like wanting wealth, somehow makes you greedy. These scripts are running your financial life in the background, and most people never become aware of them. Here's the really uncomfortable part. Your brain evolved to keep you alive, not to make you wealthy. For most of human history, survival depended on taking resources immediately, because tomorrow was never guaranteed. Your brain is still operating on that ancient software. It prioritizes now over later. So when you try to save money, your brain panics. It urges you to spend, to secure something tangible right away, because what if the future never comes? In the modern world, this is completely irrational, but your brain doesn't know that. This is why saving your first $1,000 feels so overwhelming. You're not just fighting low income or high expenses, you're fighting your own biology. Every time you save instead of spend, you're going against instincts that took thousands of years to develop. And your brain will resist you the entire way. But here's where everything changes. Once you cross certain psychological milestones, something powerful happens. Saving stops feeling like deprivation and starts feeling like progress. There's a concept called self-efficacy, which is your belief in your ability to succeed. When you have zero savings, $10,000 feels impossible. Your brain can't even imagine it, so it doesn't try. But once you reach your first $1,000, your brain gets proof. Proof that you're capable. Proof that you're the kind of person who can save money. This isn't motivational talk, this is measurable behavior change. People who save their first $1,000 are dramatically more likely to save the next one. Your brain literally rewrites its story about who you are. And this is where the math starts to matter. That first $1,000 relies almost entirely on behavior spending less than you earn. But once you have money saved, compound growth begins working alongside you. Let's say you save $100 per month. It sounds small and maybe even painful, but stay with me. But once your money is invested and earning a modest 7% return, everything starts to shift. Your second $1,000 takes about 9 months. Your third takes around 8.5. Each milestone comes faster than the last. By the time you're working toward $10,000, each additional 1,000 takes less than 6 months. And now something incredible happens. Your money starts working harder than you do. While you're sleeping, working, or watching TV, your investments are growing. At $10,000 invested, a 7% return earns about $700 per year without you doing anything. That's like getting extra savings for free. This is when your mindset changes. You stop checking your balance with anxiety and start checking it with excitement. Saving becomes addictive. Spending starts to feel like the thing holding you back. At $50,000 invested, your money earns about $3,500 per year on its own. At that point, your investments are contributing more than you are. You're no longer just saving, you're building freedom. This is why people say the first $100,000 is the hardest. Not just because of compound interest, but because of the psychological transformation. Once you prove to yourself that you can build wealth, your entire relationship with money changes. Most people quit before this shift happens. They give up during those early months, never realizing they were close to a breakthrough that could have changed their entire future. The people who push through discover that wealth isn't built through massive sacrifices forever. It's built through small sacrifices for a short time until momentum takes over. And once people see their money working, they don't stop. They optimize. They pay attention to fees, taxes, and income growth. They stop trying to look wealthy and start trying to be wealthy. Meanwhile, others keep repeating the same habits: daily lunches out, expensive cars on payment plans, impulse spending, wondering why nothing ever changes. People will spend $40 on drinks they forget about the next day, then claim they can't save $20 a month. The contradiction is staggering. The average person spends more on coffee each year than they have in emergency savings. Not because coffee is evil, but because small decisions compound in the wrong direction. Spending is emotional. It's comfort, distraction, dopamine, and you can't fix emotional spending with math alone. That's why saving your first $1,000 is so hard. You're not just changing numbers, you're changing identity. But once the switch flips, everything changes. One day, you realize you're more excited about watching your investments grow than buying something new. And that's when wealth building stops feeling like sacrifice and starts feeling like winning. Your first $1,000 is hard because it's a psychological war. But once you win that battle, momentum takes over. The choice is simple. Keep making excuses or fight through the short, brutal beginning. Your future millionaire self is waiting.